Only one man can be claimed alpha dog when it comes to teaching the mechanisms of dog behavior. This is dog whisperer himself, Cesar Millan. Cesar, once a native of Mexico, is an ever-advancing figure in the world of dog behavior, known mainly from his hit television show on the National Geographic Channel, Dog Whisperer. Through hard work and determination, his achievements have expanded far beyond what anyone could have expected of a low-income ranch hand. Though obstacles were present from the start and followed through even after his fame, he is and will remain one of the most influential figures in the world of dogs and all of its human followers. The premiere of Dog Whisperer in 2004 eventually led to 11 million viewers a week at its peak, according to Men's Journal writer Jason Fine. All eyes were glued to his relaxing, always positive demeanor. This eventually led to not only his own magazine we know as Cesar's Way, but 4 books, 3 of which ended up on New York Times bestsellers list. A whopping 2 million copies were sold, and to help you gain a better understanding of the popularity he had achieved, they were made available and significant amounts were also sold in 14 other countries aside from the U.S., according to Amy Wallace of the New York Times. His expansion did not stop here, though, because, in fact, Cesar is the CEO of his own company, Cesar Millan, Inc., which in its early years was mainly run by his wife, Illusion. This empire incorporates business deals ranging from pet product lines that incorporate dog food, water, leashes, beds, essentially any pet product you can imagine, all the way to tours across the country for dog behavior seminars, as well as making private lessons and sessions for his major high-class clientele that could sometimes exceed upwards of $80,000 for a session, according to Fine. This is a major upgrade from what Cesar was once just charging $10 a day for both walking and training when he first started out on the road of becoming the world's best dog trainer. Then there is what Cesar calls his Disneyland for dogs. This is a 43-acre ranch in the hills of California that we best know as his Dog Psychology Center. When Cesar first took this establishment over, it was nothing more than a dilapidated, run-down auto repair shop that had been abandoned for years. Now it is a haven for many, many dogs that were once assigned to death row and had little to no hope of ever carrying on a life with a human companion. As Amy Wallace puts it, if he has it his way, someday every state will have a taxpayer-supported dog rehabilitation center. As we can see, Cesar's empire continues to grow, and I doubt that it will come to a stopping place anytime soon, based strictly off of the willpower and drive that we've already seen out of him. Though Cesar certainly paved the way for himself, his journey did not come without many struggles along the way. From the start, after coming to America on many failed attempts, the language barrier and a lack of understanding human behavior proved to be his first major hurdles. Okay was initially the only word in the entire English vocabulary that Cesar knew. By the airing of his first show, you could tell, though, that his Spanglish almost seemed to be an icebreaker for many of his clients. His subpart English seemed to bring light to a tense or awkward situation of explaining to pet owners that they were probably the major issue with their dog's behavior. As a dog behaviorist, we know that Cesar is usually at ease within his pack of dogs, but even Cesar will admit that with a dog I surrender, but with a human I go into fight rather than surrender. He soon realized, though, that to make all well within the canine realm, you also had to have a great understanding of their human companions, which had obviously so much influence on what they were. Even after overcoming his own hurdles of the language barrier and lack of understanding human behavior, Cesar knew that with fame and publicity would come criticism from the public. Positive trainers came out of the woodwork and disagreed with what they called an entirely too dominant approach to dog training. Positive trainers' basis is more of a reward system. So Cesar's tactics, which consist mainly of lots of eye contact and small corrective touching, with little to no reward system, obviously was totally opposite of what a positive trainer wanted to see. Mr. Fine says that the critics argued that Cesar's teachings of calm assertive energy were outdated and had really no scientific foundation to back them up. Cesar responded with, "It's just that I think that I know something that you may not. An open-minded person can learn from anybody." This is a positive response to the negativity, which gained Cesar even more respect than he had initially had. The public also began to claim that his income was beginning to change him. From season to season on The Dog Whisperer, It was obvious that his standard attire of khakis and a polo had become much more fashionable. Caesar Milan Inc. had also begun to expand out of control, some would say, but Caesar said this was not progressed by him, but by his wife Illusion. He states, "We were trying to sell frickin' water for dogs. Money doesn't drive me. What drives me is helping dogs and helping people." Soon he would realize that he would need the help of his beloved dogs to get him through the rough patch in his life. In 2010, his wife Illusion, who had been by his side from the start of his journey, filed for divorce. Caesar admitted, "I was very unstable." Essentially, the man who had brought so much structure and stability to the lives of so many dogs and families was at his wit's end with his own. After a failed attempt at suicide, he began to spend even more time with his pack and began to even progress further with his rehabilitation center and build from the loss of his family. He tells Fine of a story when he sat crying under a tree in the hills of his ranch. He states, "I noticed the dogs started coming over," he says. "They started to lick my face. I had the sense that these dogs were healing me. From that night, I began to get stronger." So we see that even from rock bottom, Caesar came right back up with the help of the dogs that he had devoted his entire life to. Caesar's main goal when rehabilitating dogs and training people has always been to give us a better understanding of what it takes to be a pack leader. He teaches and states the most important tool is using calm, assertive energy. The brilliance of this teaching is that if you actually learn and conquer the technique of this energy, it won't only benefit your dog, it expands outward to you and even further, as Amy Wallace puts it, to the well-being of the planet. As I mentioned earlier, there was a time when Caesar admits to his unstableness, but he also says dogs will not follow an unstable leader. Thus, to be a pack leader and to make your dog listen and follow you, you need to be stable within your own life as well as using your calm assertive energy all the time. As one can see, his wisdom is not only constructive for dogs but for humans alike. Essentially, Caesar is trying to tell us that we need to get in touch with our positive chi, because a positive chi can only lead to productive outcomes. He's trying to entrust us with a message spoken directly from him. World transformation begins with self-transformation. What he has achieved, taught, and overcome, to me can be coined as nothing more than exceptionally remarkable. Regardless of if you have followed and been a supporter of Caesar throughout his entire career, or if you have simply just heard his name here and there, there's no way to deny he is self-made. He states, "Anything is realistic. If I create it in my mind, it can become a reality." And it did. His dream of becoming the world's best dog trainer is his reality. He can look in the mirror and know that he accomplished his goals and more. But above all, he can be at peace with knowing that he left a lasting impression on many who dreamt of the same things, one being myself. If you're not familiar with Caesar, I do hope that you would take the time to watch a few episodes and realize and see the magic that this man has in the realm of canines, because there's no doubt that you will be entranced by his confident yet ever so polite and humorous poise. And you'll see that he can comfort dogs and human alike without any sort of effort. Even if you have a differing method than his, I hope that you can also gain a respect for him and seeing that he persevered and overcame a lot of obstacles just to get where he is today. And even though his road had many detours, he did not give up. He continued through and pushed through and never surrendered.